Answer this question. Do you guys have rent control?
Rent control is that you can only increase one time in 365 days. So that's the only control. And you say, well, how much can you control? How much can you go up? Whatever you want.
Hello everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to the Canadian Real Estate Channel. My name is Kayla Andrade. I'm going to be your co-host this evening. I'm also the founder of Ontario Landlords Watch. I have tonight with me MacKenzie Wilson once again, but I also have his right hand, Chris Noble, and they are from the Alberta Landlord Community.
Stoked to be here.
Thanks, Kayla. It's great to be here.
Answer this question. Do you guys have rent control? Because we're capped at 2.5%. In Ontario, and obviously this year for 2022, because we didn't get a rent increase last year, we're maxed out at 1.2% of an increase that we can give our tenants, even though everything else has obviously increased.
I'm going to say, do we have rent control? And I'm going to say, yes, we do. And Mac's going to go, what? Well, the rent control is that you can only increase one time in 365 days. So that's the only control. And you say, well, how much can you control? How much can you go up? Whatever you want. So you want to go back to how do you get people out? If you're on a lease, once the lease is up in your 90-day, 6-month, or a year lease is up, you can put it up to whatever you want. But you have to ask yourself, do I like this tenant? Well, yeah. Well, why would you want to blow it out of the water? They're going to leave. Why would you want to jeopardize losing something? Like, run a good business. Now go the other way. Your lease is up, or we're stuck in a month-to-month lease where we can't get people out unless we have one of those other conditions met. You know what, I call it my, well, I had a different term off camera, but it's kind of a jerk move, is you just crank the rent up. Well, here's your $500 increase, and you give them 90 days notice, and 90 days of rent goes up $500 because you want them out, because there's a conflict, there's something going on. Maybe you just don't have any other way to get them out because you're stuck in that month-to-month lease. So you can jack the rent as long as you haven't done it in a year, and you give them 90 days notice.
Yeah, I'm chomping at the bit here. Let me get in here. So if you're in month to month, and that can be for a number of reasons. You picked it off the bat. Perhaps you bought the property and that's what the current arrangement is, or perhaps you let your term lease elapse into a month to month and you still collected rent. So that's a good talking point right there. Is if you're in a term lease and it's coming up to the end of 12 months and you continue on the 13-month, you collect rent, and then you go 2 weeks and you go, oh shoot, I forgot, or maybe 2 months and you realize, oh man, I blew through that lease, I better talk to my tenant. Well, by collecting rent, you've set precedence that you want to continue the arrangement. It's now by the RTA, by our law, it turns into a month to month. So if you're in that situation, like what Chris said, I usually provide my tenants two options. I'll say, hey, you can sign this fixed lease at market rates, which is fair and equitable, or if you choose to continue to have the freedom of being in a month-to-month scenario where you can exit with 30-day notice, you're going to pay for that premium, and as Chris noted, it's going up $500. So that's what we tell our landlords how to deal with that problem. Now, we're talking about rent control, and you have like these acidine 1.5 to 2.5%. It's crazy. I just read an article. I was trying to find the source when we were talking in the background. I couldn't find it, but I can go off the top of my head here pretty quickly. They're proposing rent controls, and I'm sure your landlords in Ontario are going to be on every word I'm going to say here and just completely in agreement. Says it doesn't work. Rent controls create artificially increased rental rates because the landlord knows if I go into another tenancy, I'm going to be stuck at that rate at maybe inflation, which is not right now. We just had record inflation this year with gas prices and everything going on through COVID. So what they're going to do, they're going to artificially jack up the rent before that property goes back on the market, and everyone else is doing that too. So all these prices are higher, and it doesn't work. So these rent controls create artificially high rent. They also deter future landlords wanting to invest in the province. Therefore, your supply is now stagnant or dwindling or not growing as fast as it should be because less investors want to even be there. So they've really capped their supply, and it makes for a very unhealthy economic situation. Therefore, the rents even spike further because your supply is not keeping up with demand.
That's
Yeah,
where it is.
it's crazy. So yeah, where I was going to go. So here in Alberta, 013, 014, we had a huge oil crash. It was bad. We were actually, so there's the WTI, which is, it's one of the indicators we use to track oil prices by the barrel, was negative for a period of about 2 weeks in Alberta. I forget what year this was. We were paying people to take our product out of our inventories because our industry was so shitty. I'm just going to call a spade. And what happened, because we didn't have rent controls in place, our rents decreased to accommodate that. We had people exiting out of Alberta by the tens of thousands. I think we lost 130,000. It was like a net migration out of Alberta. I can't remember the exact number, but it was lots. It was in the thousands, tens of thousands. And our rents self-corrected in the terms of 20 to 30 and 40% people dropped their rents by. Because you imagine a rental going from $1,800 and all of a sudden you're happy to get $1,100 to keep it from being in a vacancy. Our vacancy rates went from around 3 to 5 or 3 to 4%, and we went up to 12. We were in double-digit vacancy. Like, it just blew through the roof. But people don't talk about this part because it's all about the rent control and stuff. You would never get a self-correction like that when the rent's going down, and they certainly do happen. But on the flip side, because we are able to make a profit and it is a reasonable investment, people want to invest here in Alberta, and we have a lot of supply coming on the market too to compensate for that, and you get into a really balanced market, which is just a win-win. Sorry, I ranted.
No, it was a good rent, because that's exactly, because with us, I'm being, stuck at that 1.2%, and, having our tenant activist groups are asking for full-on rent control as tenants leave. So normally right now, we're capped at 2.5, we get the rent increase at 1.2, but if a tenant does vacate, then we can reposition the rent to what the market value is, and that's what they're trying to stop here, even in Ontario. So that's literally the death of rentals as you know it if they try to implement that. And between having a conservative government, I don't see that, because obviously they removed the full rent control of maxing out at 2.5 for newly builds of the secondary suites never lived in. I believe it's from 2018, I believe it was, from new builds. So you get to see how they got it all wrong. They're trying to do it in a way to build supply, but sometimes they're pedaling backwards and making the problem even worse. So which goes into
scary.
Now, if you guys are, with landlords and doing what you guys do, and let's say that, we have Ontario or Nova Scotia, or we have some people very interested in investing in Alberta, what type of pricing could landlords look at for their property management fees? And do you have landlord licensing in Alberta? Wow.
So
you guys don't want to know about her. No wonder they got us capped in Ontario.
so I mean, to give food for thought, if someone wanted to come invest in Alberta and they worked with someone like Chris or me, and we were the boots on the ground, we went in partners, they just want to be a money partner and just they want real estate, but they don't want to do the hands-on stuff like the toilets and all that. You can come in with.
Now, I want to make sure that we continue to keep having you back as that voice. And in the meantime, I really want to make sure the viewers are able to reach out to you and get more and pick your brains and meet the other members of your community, because you guys are so active, and I love the love and the attention that you give all your members and your members give to each other. So how can they find the Alberta Landlord Community or reach out to you guys personally?
We're on Facebook. If you search for groups and look for Alberta Landlord Community, that's our Facebook following. We're pretty large there, about 3,500 folks. We're also on YouTube as well, like you guys, so thank you again for allowing us to be on your channel. We appreciate the collaborate with you guys. I think this is super cool. You go to findgreattenants.com, tenants with an S. That'll kick you over to our YouTube channel, and then we also have our own private network community that we're building right now too. As much as we love Facebook, that's allowed us to connect with a lot of landlords. We know it's not forever, so we're taking control and building our own private community where we can do posts. We're building basically the best, most up-to-date resource for landlords in Alberta, and that's over at albertalandlordcommunity.ca. And thank you, Kayla, for having us again. We really appreciate it.
No, it's about bringing all of the different type of support that's out there for our members, bringing them valuable content that they can take home and share with their communities that they're a part of, no matter where they are. And just knowing that we do have our collaboration and our partnership with Front Lobby so that landlords can report to Landlord Credit Bureau and Equifax. And Alberta, they have their own discount code of ABLL15, and Ontario Landlords Watch has OLW15. And this is going to be the game changer in order to make sure that we're benefiting good tenants and able to hold the other tenants accountable and protecting the landlord's investments at the same time. I want to make sure that everyone is liking what the content we have. So make sure you give us a comment, give us your feedback. If you have new rules and new regulations or something that we never covered tonight that you're wanting more information on, put it in the comments below. And then for our next video, maybe we're going to head east. Maybe we're going to go a little bit more west. Tune into our next video on the Canadian Real Estate channel so that we can keep you informed and give you the perfect content to help you grow your financial freedom through real estate. Have a great night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.